Welcome friends to this week's Reset and Recalibrate practice. This week we're going to explore shaking out our nervous system to help us deal with all of the old stuff that got brought up at the new moon eclipse that was just over a week ago. We're going to do that by opening up the bladder channel through a practice of what we call entry-exit point combining to open up the connection of how the bladder energy moves through the whole body. We're also going to use the Dao Yin turtle shape to help connect the breath to the pathway of this channel and open up what we call the shoe points on the back. The reason I chose this practice this week is because a lot of stuff is coming up for people. There's a lot of nervous system energy that needs to be kind of released, and as far as the seasonal energies go, we're at the last letting go. This is a week before we actually descend into the solstice energies and set the tone for winter. So as we use this practice this week to open up our spine and open up the bladder channel, we're also going to be getting access to all of our vital organs and working to shake them out a little. So this is going to help lead us up to the full moon happening in a few days from now, and it's going to prepare us to be ready to go into our inner descent for winter. So let's get started. For the turtle practice, I suggest using a bolster, or if you like, a blanket, just to help give you a little bit extra support. With the yin practice, always wanting to bolster the body to bring in extra support so that you feel supported during the practice, that you're not overextending yourself, because really it's about being able to open over time. Okay, so make sure you have some kind of pillow, maybe a bolster, maybe a blanket, something to help support you a little bit. So first thing we're going to do before we get into turtle is we're actually going to open up the bladder channel. So as you can see, the bladder channel runs starting right here at the inner eye, and it moves across the crown, and then it travels in two pathways down the back of the spine, down the legs, and then it's actually going to exit out the pinky toe, knife edge of the foot. So we're going to actually open this channel by activating the entry and the exit point. So let's start with the entry point. So just find your eyebrow line, and then bringing your thumbs or whatever feels comfortable just below that eyebrow line, and begin to take a little moment to just feel this space of the body and start to massage it. We're going to go counterclockwise to the body to start. This is kind of like unwinding things and opening them up, making space for energy to open, drain, flow, and process. It's kind of like an interesting little rub your belly, pat your head kind of thing, but just moving in that counterclockwise fashion, and then taking a nice big breath into that space and connecting to the intention that you're opening up this bladder channel to create freedom of movement through the channel to support you in the yin shape. Now we're going to work with the exit channel, the exit part. So the exit part is actually, if you go on the knife edge of your foot, on the pinky toe, just along where the nail meets. So you can go ahead and just massage this point, just starting to activate it. And I'll recommend that we move again in that counterclockwise motion. So activating and opening up this bladder channel. Acupressure is a really effective way to open up the energy body, and it goes really well with the Dao Yin practice because it helps to get the energy flowing, and it helps to give a pathway for whatever we intend to create change around. So opening that up, taking a nice breath into that bladder one or that bladder exit channel. And now we're ready for the shape. It's actually interesting to use these 2 points, because the way we set up the shape is our head, as it comes down, is actually being connected at that bladder point. And then as you can see here, the knife edge of my feet are connected to the earth. So the way we're going to set this shape up is making a diamond with the legs. So not like butterfly, bringing it in close, but bringing the feet out a little bit. And then I like to use a blanket depending on your level of flexibility. Don't judge yourself. Really, where you're at is where you're at, and that's okay. And again, since this is a daily practice, you might notice the end of the week, go a little further. So bringing either the bolster or a blanket to this area. I like to take hands underneath my legs and then finding my way down at that brow line to the pillow. It's important to notice when you come into any yin shape that you're setting up the physical conditions for change to happen over a period of time. So you can start to feel as the brow rests onto the pillow or your ankles or the bolster. That's the beginning of that bladder channel. And you start to feel the pressure of the ground underneath you at that knife edge exit point of the bladder channel. Setting up these physical conditions, this physical space for transformation, and then inviting the breath to explore the physical container. Watching that in-breath move from the center, the surface of the body. And returning back to the center. For today's practice, we're going to take the awareness of that breath and inhale from that entry point, the bladder channel over the crown of the head, beginning to trickle down the spine, exhaling, releasing down the rest of the spine, out the backs of the legs, and through the knife edge of the foot. Following the pathway of that bladder channel with the breath. And as you set up that awareness and breath, checking in with any physical sensations as you release and let go on the out breath, and taking note of any mental, emotional sensations as you inhale, allowing the breath to clarify and begin to unwind any physical or energetic blocks that arise in the shape. As we move through this beginning descent into winter, this last letting go of the fall season, this turtle shape gives us an introspective look into our core, a sneak peek, so to speak, of what lies deep in our strength and in our inner realm. And you feel that breath release through the back of the spine, down the legs, and out the knife edge of the foot, clearing any debris, any mental patterns. You might take note of what the last thing that you need to let go of physically, mentally, or emotionally to set the tone for inner fortification through the coming winter months. Last bits of release. We'll spend one more minute in this space. Just noting any messages or awareness, attachments. Invite the breath as a resource of transformation. And following that entry to exit halfway of the bladder channel. Last 3 full expressions of breath in this space. And once your third breath is complete, you can gently use the pressure of the hands to begin to sit up. And just taking a moment to notice, adjusting subtly in any way your body feels it needs. And as you return back to a more neutral position, just take a moment to breathe into the space you've created in the shape. We'll go back into connecting into those acupoints again, staying with that counterclockwise movement, just re-engaging, opening up, noticing if anything changed in that space. This area for me feels a little more open, a little less sensitive. And the exit point on the side of the toe. This is going to prepare us to transition to open up our spine. So bladder energies rule the nervous system and the function of the electricity of the water element, which is then modulated by all of the spinal nerve roots. So one of the strategies that we're going to look at this week is keeping the spine open and helping the flow of energy and the electricity through the water element to begin to harmonize itself. So we'll get ready to transition to standing to complete our practice. Now that we found our way to standing, we're going to explore a simple spinal rolling technique. It's similar to the yogic practice of inhaling into a flat back and exhaling down, but we're going to add a few more areas of the spine to open up. I learned this through martial arts and Tai Chi practice as a preparatory exercise for any kind of energy work or fighting, or ways that we needed our energy to be flowing so that we can direct it. This practice is going to open up the sacrum lumbar space, the what we call lumbar dorsal hinge, so this area between where the ribs and the low spine meet, the space behind the heart, and then the space between where the cervical and the thoracic meet, so this area at the back of the neck, and then all the way into the base of the skull. So we're going to be rolling out each one of these areas through the spine and opening up that bladder channel to activate more openness and expansion in that up and down flow. So coming in to this practice, you can go ahead and bend the knees depending on your flexibility. Allow the energy to just kind of pour out, releasing down through the spine. Let the head dangle. And then as you inhale, we're just going to start with this first space here, the lumbosacral space. As you inhale, just inhale to open up that space, stretch it out, open it, expand it, and exhale, release it back down. We'll repeat that 2 more times. We're just focusing here. And exhale down. We're going to bring this up to the next juncture, the space where the lumbar and thoracic spine meet. So opening that up just a little bit more, a little bit higher. Exhale it down. Work the vertebrae and the breath together, breath by breath, vertebrae by vertebrae. Coming into the space behind the heart. Move into the space where the cervical and the thoracic meet, the base of the neck. Last one, all the way up, releasing through the base of the skull. Exhale, melt it down. Then just taking a moment to feel into the circulation of that bladder channel, moving through the body. And we'll finish by, this time clockwise, massaging the opening points of the bladder. Again, bladder energy supporting our nervous system. The vital transferred energy from our will into our action and into informing our organs what they need to do. Take a breath into that. And then to activate that exit point, we just bring our foot into the earth and feel that along the pinky line, activate. And breathing in, inhale, over the crown, down the back of the spine, exhale, release down the back of the legs and out the knife edge of the foot. Feeling a circulation of vital energy, waking up, giving enough energy, this last letting go before our winter descent. Be sure to share in the comments, tell us how you're enjoying these practices. And as always, check in with all the extra elemental content and be wellness.